Hello, and welcome to Vision Denial and World Watch 2022. My name is Sam, and if those of you who are new here, I have watched every single playoff of 2022. Yes, every single one of them, even that one. Notably, this particular series we were covering the summer of 2022 on our anticipation and preparation for Worlds. And this you have stumbled upon, or you are a regular subscriber and watcher, to the Meet the Teams portion, where I will take a look at every 24 team, their strengths, weaknesses, play styles, notable quirks, interesting things to look ahead, all in the attempts to at least teach some people who don't watch certain regions what to expect from their teams, or from the teams that are going. That said, there are two caveats to really put forward. First caveat: a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about are data-driven. I will put a link down below to the Google Docs of all of the data I have aggregated all in one nice spot. All of the data comes from the LOL fandom, Wikipedia, and from the goal.gg website, both of which have very different focuses to their data points, and both are necessary for these kinds of videos to work. That said, there's a limitation to some of this data because the LPL doesn't send the data as consistently as the other regions, and this is something you'll find with any particular data point for LoL esports globally. The LPL will still be missing some things regarding plates, drakes at 15 minutes, and heralds. A lot of their early game is not there. That and everything relating to vision. Second thing that I have to point out, a lot of the emerging regions, specifically Oceania, Turkey, Brazil, Latin America, and Japan, their teams will have some inflated stats in their favor. That being in mind, when we're looking at their stats, a lot of them will look good, notably the Chiefs and Detonation Focus Me. So some of the stats for every team has to be taken with a grain of salt of either being maybe stronger than expected or weaker than expected by quite a bit, notably because of this kind of inflation of statistics. When you're studying data, this is the kind of adjustments you need to do. That said, team-based data will look skewed. Individual data for each player's less so, because of the kinds of data points that they keep track of. All of that to say is that a lot of the notes that I've taken are using data points that have been collected that you can all enjoy for free down below, or in the various websites that I mentioned, but taking into account a lot of the personal notes that I use in conjunction with this data to show you what to expect with these teams. Without further ado, let's take a look at this video's team. I don't know. This is a pre-recorded message. Let's take a look. Let's meet Detonation Focus Me. Detonation Focus Me is the 21st team to qualify for Worlds after defeating Sengoku Gaming in the grand finals of the LJL. Let's take a look at their coach, Kazu, who's been a mainstay analyst and support player for Detonation Focus Me on and off since 2014, occasionally seeing time to be a support player for V3 or Scars for a brief period of time between 2016 and 2018. He's been primarily a coach for this team. There is something interesting regarding this team also, is that they are a very bloody team. They fight constantly, having the strongest kill death ratio of every team that's going here. And yeah, strongest kill death ratio, and being second to Chiefs on many accounts regarding game duration, goal differential at 15, win rate when ahead at 15, and so on and so forth. Another notable thing is that they are second in terms of percentage of wards cleared, and they clear quite a bit of wards against their opponents. The difference is that when you take a look at how many wards they actually clear per minute, it shows that their opponents are actually not playing with vision. very strongly, which means that Detonation Focus Me are doing a lot of work playing within Vision Denial and Fog of War to take advantage of the fact that their opponents will not know how to respond to a lot of their engages that they just plainly are able to take advantage of. They're proactive, they find kills, and they take those advantages to win games from it. Otherwise, much of everything else they have is fairly underwhelming compared to the rest of the teams. Let's meet the top laner of Detonation Focus Me, Evie. If you know Detonation Focus Me, you know Evie. He's been part of the team since the 2018 season and has not stopped since. A consistency within the team, he plays the weak side incredibly well. Second in terms of KDA amongst his contemporaries, the rest of his stats make him look as if he's not pulling off his KDA as well, or he tends to not participate with the team at all, when that's not particularly the case. Where the rest of his team tends to work very well on the bot side of the map, he is alone fending off a lot of people who tend to misplay dives against him, or just straight up cannot deal with the kinds of pressure he puts up on a one-to-one basis. This is another case of the lack of competition can make you look very good, but the stats also don't lie. He plays with so little of the gold compared to his contemporaries that it's surprising that he's managed to get this far at all, given, or have the KDA that he has, given how little attention he is getting across the map. So, do I expect him to do bad in the long run against his other top laners? No. In fact, I think he'd do excellently. He is also a veteran of international competition at this point, and he recognizes how to approach this game against other top laners of similar caliber. We should expect fairly solid things out of Evie this year. Let's meet the jungler of Detonation Focus Me. Steel, and like his name, does often steal camps, has been part of Detonation Focus Me since the season of 2018 and also has not stopped since. He is also equally interesting given that most of his stats outside of his KDA tend to indicate that he is neither a heavy farmer or a heavy ganker, but that he tends to do his own thing and let the game play as is. The lack of competition will tend to do that, as Steel himself is not very high up in terms of number of champion plays, or in terms of kill participation, kill shares, gold per minute, so on and so forth. His high KDA is mostly an indication of no one's stopping him from just casually walking in, taking neutral objectives, and really setting up win conditions for Detonation Focus Me, more than just ganking and finding fights, despite the fact that the rest of his team are regularly doing so. I do think there is an issue, not just from the fact that he has a low champion pool to begin with, but that the majority of the games he's played are with Wukong. I mean, the vast majority of the games he's played is with Wukong. And so there might be an issue going into this tournament where he may not necessarily be unable to play things, but the team may be so used to one particular strategy that taking it away may result in some hiccups. Keyword here, some. Let's meet Detonation Focus Me's mid laner, Yaharong. After being part of Fredit Brion for the 2021 season and previously of Generic Green Wings for quite some time, he joins Detonation Focus Me for the 2022 season to some success. As a matter of fact, great success looking at his stats. But again, lack of competition means that we have to take a little bit more scrutiny to the situation. His 13.23 KDA dwarfs all others in his all of his other contemporaries in his lane, but is second to Chovy on almost every account, or worse, by a large margin. It is very bizarre to see somebody who has such a high kill share for his team, and such a high gold share for his team, with the kind of KDA, but such a low kill participation compared to his rest of his contemporaries. In fact, if I remember correctly, he's last. He is last. Where most of them range between the 60 to 70%, especially with the kind of influence you might have. 58.7% kill participation is really low for a mid laner. He does well in his lane, he does well in some skirmishes, but when it comes to team fighting, Detonation Focus Me is not huge at team fighting, at least not with Yaharong. Not consistently. Let's meet the bot laner of Detonation Focus Me, Yutapon. And if some of the other players have been long-standing members, Yutapon is the oldest standing member of Detonation Focus Me, having been with the organization since April of 2013. He is very dedicated to this team, and rightfully so. One of the most consistent carries for this team, Yutapon has shown that he is more than capable to keep up with his contemporaries in terms of CS per minute, gold per minute, kill participation, kill share, and gold share. And then you look at the nitty-gritty of things, because again, lack of competition brings out a little bit more scrutiny. Because that's the thing, in terms of kill participation, he falls on the lower half. And given that his kill share is still pretty high, but not as high as some of his other contemporaries, you'd think seems more again as a situation of lack of competition really helps bolster the ability for him to do as he needs. He has the third strongest KDA amongst all of his contemporaries in his role, but it's the third best amongst two others who also have no competition, Raze and Holy Phoenix. Being above Ruler without competition is, need I say, not a great look when the rest of your stats look as if you just kind of blend with everything. But there's another caveat to this. The fact of the matter is there are a lot of really good bot laners, and Yutapon being part of the mix and looking like he's just average says a lot given the tenure of this player in the international scene. He is no stranger to what to expect in the bot lane. Let's meet the support player of Detonation Focus Me, Harp. Many of you may recognize him as previously the support player of KT Rolster during the 2021 season, coming into Japan for the 2022 season, and mostly finding some success here. He has the highest KDA amongst all of the support players going to Worlds, but everything else about his particular stats tends to be fairly average. He's a little bit above average in terms of number of champs played, but not by much. His kill participation is about average amongst the board, and there's nothing particularly spectacular about his approach other than it is incredibly consistent. He allows the rest of the team to really play to their strengths, and even if this kill participation is teetering around the same kind of average that most other support players have, it really helps enable every other lane and reads, because the rest of his team has low kill participation for each of the roles, that he is always on the move. Look out on the map. Harp will roam, and Harp will make your life difficult. All in all, Detonation Focus Me is a team from Japan who really excites people to just really get hyped for the region in and of itself as the most consistent team to perform on the international stage. And this year seems like it'll be more of the same. It would not surprise me to see them make out of play-ins and into groups, as the competition they have, I don't think they'll likely beat Fnatic, but I can see them beating Evil Geniuses. I can see them beat Beyond Gaming, Loud, and the Chiefs even, who compete against them for the stronger of the emerging region teams. That said, if, and big if, because there's still quite a bit of competition that exists from the other side, if they were to make it to group stage, you ended up with one of two scenarios to work with. You'd either end up, let's see, where'd you end up again? You'd end up probably in group B. Yeah, you'd likely end up in group D or group A. And if you end up in group B, you got a lot of teams who play the similar style to yours, where it's very aggressive, team fight oriented, and early game pressured. And then you end up against teams like group A, who really excel at dismantling and playing from weaknesses that you would know are there and that are incredibly flexible. So it would surprise me to see Detonation Focus Me make the whole run to quarterfinals. Impossible? No. Likely? Not really. So I think they'll do great otherwise, comparatively speaking. So What are your thoughts? I want to hear what you think in the comments down below. Do you think it's their year? They'll make it to the quarterfinals out of groups? Anything and everything down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you want to see how they made it to Worlds or any of the other highlight plays, somewhere along the screen you will see playlists for that, including playlists of me watching every single playoff game. Yes, including that one, just over the couple of weeks, as well as my thoughts. And if you want to see what the other teams are like, I'll have a playlist like that there. With that, thank you for watching. If you like this content, like and subscribe. All the buttons are down below. And thank you again for watching. With that, I hope you have a great time. See you next one.